So what's your name and where are you from?
My name is Beatfox and I'm from London. I'm 29 now and I've been beatboxing ever since I was a little kid. I can't put an age on it. I was always making noises when I was younger and it kind of evolved and developed into beatboxing when I was around 14, 15. Beatboxing for me is kind of a form of expression, it's a form of confidence. I was a very shy kid, so for me beatboxing kind of made me come out my shell and step more into the view of people's eyes rather than trying to shade away from it. So for me, it gave me confidence, and beatboxing is a good release. When I'm on stage, it's kind of like a meditative state. A lot of the time I'm not thinking, I'm just doing it. Unless it's obviously a performance that I have to have a structured set for. But yeah, I really enjoy what it does for me, and I feel good after I perform, like the adrenaline rush and everything that beatboxing has to bring, the family that it entails, the one language, the diversity of different beatboxers. There's a lot of different things, I can't categorize it. I wouldn't really say that I chose beatboxing, I would say that I evolved into a beatboxer. As a kid I always made random noises and little tweets and sounds, and I'd done that when I was little because it had annoyed my friend's dad. So when I bit my teeth down, his teeth hurt, and by me knowing that, I'll sneak up behind him and go, and that was like a form of beatboxing, but for me it's just a way to annoy him. Same as, for example, it started off as an annoying sound and now I use it to find my friends at festivals or if we get lost in Sainsbury's or something. So yeah, it's kind of evolved into different areas of my life just through being a noisy child. My earliest memory was in year 4 or 5, and I've gone into class and be like, I've got a radio in my throat, and that's just that was like the start of me messing around with sounds. I'm constantly inspired as a beatboxer, from woodpeckers outside to other beatboxers to musicians to bass lines, anything all around that I listen to, I can't help but sometimes move or be influenced by it. I perform a lot as a living. For me, battles are more of a challenge for myself. A lot of the time when I enter battles, I go unprepared, and it's just seeing if I can keep up with the competition and see how relevant I am compared to them. And also for me, thinking on my feet, I really love the element of freestyle, so jumping into battles and someone using my routines or sounds against me is like, how can I level that up instantly? And I really need to be quick-witted, and I love that excitement of being like, what do I do now? And reacting. Battling for me wasn't my passion, I love performing. So for me that's where a lot of my energy goes into, creating shows for a wide spectrum of audiences rather than just beatboxers.
Cool.
So I feel the difference between performing for a wide audience and compared to a beatbox crowd is the wider audience react a lot more to covers and songs that they know. So you can do a quick bass line and the whole crowd will go off, whereas with a beatbox crowd, they're looking for that technicality and you have to level up 3 or 4 times within a 16 bar for the majority of people to be impressed nowadays. And if you're doing routines that you've done years ago, a lot of the time they're like, okay, bring up something new. I feel like as a beatboxer performing in front of beatboxers, you're getting judged a lot more than performing in front of a crowd. In my opinion, what makes a good beatboxer is you're looking for, well, it depends. It depends if you're just a beatboxer and you do that for fun, or whether you want to do it as a living or it's just your passion, whatever. So for me, a good beatboxer would be someone that loves beatboxing, someone that is constantly getting inspired and does it for the pure enjoyment of it, not just for, I'm a beatboxer, listen to me. Because there's quite a few people that are quite aggressive with the way they beatbox and they want to be heard, whereas for me a beatboxer is a form of expression, and for someone to express themselves, their originality and their personality through music, for me that is what a beatboxer is. I feel like my style is quite different to other beatboxers because I don't really listen to many of them, so I don't really hang around with many beatboxers. I've always just done my own thing. I would say I've got quite an old school style. There's a new school that's coming out which is quite technical, and I'm trying to keep up with that. So certain sounds I will learn and certain techniques I will learn just so that I can draw it from the bag if I need to. But generally I'm quite basslining orientated and old school with the sounds I do. I like crisp, clean and sharp sounds basically. So for me, I would like to perfect anything for a long time before I would release it. I've got a couple of signature sounds I'm quite known for, or it's known as the Beatfox whistle, and yeah, I've been doing it for years. I don't even know where it came from, it just jumped out my mouth one day, and it's a really satisfying sound to make. Yeah, and I can explain it, but because I didn't really learn it, it's quite hard for me to tell you. So it's just basically your tongue, where your teeth meet your gum, your tongue's pushing out a little pocket of air that it creates between it. So I'm not breathing in or using anything from my lungs while doing it. I can breathe while making the sound basically. So if you're doing it wrong, it's, and if you're doing it backwards, it's. Yeah, beatboxing is my primary income. I've got snakes, so other than that I'm making noises or pimping out my reptiles. I've got a few proudest moments as a beatboxer, but one of them for me was definitely when I went to Brazil with the Beatbox Collective and I performed for the Olympics representing UK music at the British House. On one night we warmed up for Nadia Rose, and the second night we warmed up for Chaser Status, and for me that was just kind of a highlight because of just the calibre of people that I was around, the energy, the atmosphere, Brazil, it was all just amazing, man. We had 2 shows and the rest of the time we had off and I was there for a week, so that for me, I want more of those shows. Battling for me is definitely important, just for a challenge in myself personally. But in terms of creating the best beatboxer, I don't think a battle is, oh, they won that day, they're the best. But it's all down to opinion at the end of the day and your personal preference. And that day itself, you might have a cold or something might happen to you in that second. So the person that is the better beatboxer might not win always. But the person who comes first is obviously very deserving of that title. Battling is fun, it's good to watch, it's good energy, and it really is nice to see how people have prepared, or if they haven't prepared, how they react to certain things. My success in battles is I've constantly been the underdog. I've always come second or third, generally, and it's quite frustrating, but you know, I'm still happy with the titles I've got, and I'm doing really well off of beatboxing, so for me, coming first wouldn't have made a difference in my career. I definitely think battling is important to the beatbox scene as a whole because it really shows character in certain performances, and when people get their personalities across in battles, or they could be the most genuine nice person in the world and then in a battle they're super aggressive. I love seeing that side of people and how different it is when they stop battling, you know, just what that creature they turn into on stage. So with my beatboxing, what I'm looking to do in the future, other than consistently perform and travel the world as much as I can, I want to work with my friend who's got a school in Kingston, and they've got a hydrotherapy pool, and that basically means that they've got state-of-the-art speakers that are underwater for kids that may not be as able as you and I, and they might have been born with one arm and a leg, and they've been unmobile their whole life, but in this pool they've got a lot of movement, and sometimes certain frequencies resonate with certain people, so when you hit these frequencies in their head they get more comfortable and move more than they would generally. So what I'm looking to do is create a project that would be fusing beatboxing with hydrotherapy and seeing what routines I can create to help these kids feel comfortable and more agile. I think the future of beatboxing is limitless. At the moment you've got artists from all around the world creating songs from scratch from a loop station, performing on things like X Factor and Pop Idol or whatever it is. Then you've got Reaps that is bringing AI to beatboxing as well as projection mapping. I'm working with a 100-piece choir and we're creating sensory shows as well. It's basically anything you can think of that you can create with your voice. I just got back from a festival called Tribal Gathering in Panama, and even there they've got chants that go back hundreds of years, and for me that is a form of beatboxing because it's vocal percussion and all these different sounds that they're creating together. So it started from that and it's come here, and there's so many other places that it can go with the technology that we're getting given, and also just the freedom of our voice. You can play around with it at any point.
Okay.